right, man. We got a quick special episode, off-season edition, which, I mean, we just recorded an episode a couple weeks ago, not knowing what was going to go down in the NBA, obviously, but a lot has happened since the last time we spoke. Once again, it's myself, DesPain, the host of this podcast, Sports Talk with DesPain, and I'm here with my brother, Eman, Mr. Vincent himself from the Mr. Vincent Podcast, and of course,
Yes, sir.
every other a jack of all trades, of course, and we've talked about it many, many times. So if you haven't plugged in with my guy, then I don't know where you've been. But anyways, not to get talk too much about anything insignificant. We already know of a lot of big news that's happened in the NBA, of course. We'll go down the line of all the notable trades, I don't know if there have been a lot of notable free agent signings because this wasn't a huge free agent class this offseason. But I'll go down the line and everything, and then I'll, ask you what you think about what move was the craziest surprise to you, or better yet, what move did you like the most? And then we'll talk about our respective teams, of course. I'll give you the platform to talk about your Lakers and their moves. And of course, I'm definitely chat about what happened here in Boston. But so just to go down the line, there's been several trades that's happened in the NBA. One being one of the biggest trades in the NBA was Giannis going to the Miami Heat. I know we spoke about that in our podcast episode. Not was the trade finalized? But no, it wasn't, because we recorded like days after the final, so it wasn't finalized then. We wasn't sure where he was going at the time, but he went to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero. It was him and Portis. So people forget about the Portis part. That's very important too. A lot of people were talking about the Heat don't have a bench. I think he's a viable six-man option. But nonetheless, it was him and Giannis, Tyler Hero, Ware, Jaime Jaquez, the number 13th pick in the draft, and some future first-round picks, some swaps, second-round picks. So that was the one trade that broke the news. But also Kawhi Leonard got traded a few days ago back to Toronto for Brennan Ingram, Grady Dick, some picks, and then finally Ja Morant got traded. He's headed to Portland. In return, they're getting Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Then Julius Randle was probably the earliest trade that we've seen. He was traded to the Brooklyn Nets for a bunch of picks. Chicago, in that same trade, Chicago ended up with Nick Claxton, which was under the radar for that one. And Minnesota got, some picks, got a pick in return. Also, Miles Bridges got traded from the Charlotte Hornets to the Phoenix Suns for some picks, including Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. And of course, LaMelo Ball has been traded to Minnesota for Naz Reid. It was LaMelo Ball and what's the old boy's name who was on the Mavs? I can't remember his name right now, but it was them two for
Josh Green.
I'm sorry, yeah. So Josh Green, LaMelo Ball went to Minnesota for Naz Reid and picks. And of course, what happened a couple days ago here in Boston, Jaylen Brown got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George and a plethora of picks. And also, the Lakers traded for Kessler I believe they traded him for some picks as well. And there may have been some other trades that happened that were low-level trades, in my opinion. But out of those notable trades that we just mentioned, or maybe even ones I haven't mentioned, out of all those trades, which one of them stood out the most to you? And, or better yet, I mean, give me two-part question. which one of them stood out the most to you, and which one was the most surprising to you?
The one that was I think is the most impressive. I probably gotta be Giannis getting to Miami because it was looking like leading up to that trade being announced or the agreement being reached that Boston was going to land him. So it was a two-team race between Boston and Miami. Pat Riley and them have been searching for a superstar since LeBron James left. All due respect to Jimmy Butler, but he's not quite a superstar. I want to put him on a superstar tier, but still is a great player. So they had a history of landing Shaq and LeBron and um guys before that. So they kind of had like hit
Alonzo
a
Mourning.
slump there, and Alonzo Mourning, yeah, too. So I knew somebody else I missed too. You know, and then this being Miami, no state income tax, great weather all year round, great culture. The team has like a for a team that's like was like an expansion team in the late '80s. They have a somewhat of a rich history. So the fact that they were able to kind of get Giannis, beat Boston, now they put themselves in position to be like competitive in the Eastern Conference, even though Giannis is I think going to be a year 14 coming in next season.
Hmm.
About to be 32, turns in the season, has dealt with soft tissue injuries. When he's right, he's a top 5 player in the NBA. You don't pass that up. So now you pair him with Bam. Like you mentioned, Bobby Portis, people sleep on that. Like that's a great addition to the Miami Heat as well, because obviously good in Giannis, you're gonna have to like having Giannis and Bam, you're gonna have to have some ancillary pieces to put around them and everything, and they don't really have a lot of flexibility with the cap and everything. So Bobby Portis is a productive player. He could be a productive guy off the bench for them. They still have Andrew Wiggins. I know they lost Norman Powell. That sucks, but I think they signed somebody else too recently. Am I forgetting? Who did they sign? I feel like they signed somebody recently, or I could be wrong.
Oh,
Somebody for
it
the
was
low.
the
Oh, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim
Tim
Hardaway
Hardaway
Jr.
Jr. They
Yeah.
got
Hmm.
too.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, so I think that this is going to make things interesting in the Eastern Conference. And the surprising trade to me is going to, I would say, would be LaMelo Ball going to the Wolves. The Wolves actually trading for him. The talent's there. No denying that. It's just the fact that he just plays so carefree. Doesn't really play like, to me, championship winning basketball. And this is an organization who has been to within the Ant-Man era, 2 consecutive Western Conference Finals appearances. You're looking up at Oklahoma City and San Antonio. And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know if LaMelo Ball is the right person to pair along with Ant-Man. And you also gave up size with Nas Reed. So you
Hmm.
kind of like depleted there in the front court in terms of size. But you have a young star, people forget, who came in the same draft class as Ant-Man, the number 3 pick. Ant was the number 1 pick. So they're like on the same like time frame with their age and everything, on the same
Hmm.
timeline rather. So the potential is there. I mean, they're gonna sell a lot of tickets. Melo has a TikTok era on lock. They're gonna sell a lot of tickets. They're gonna put butts in seats and everything. They're gonna be like a sports and a highlight reel. Certainly. But I just don't know if I think that move makes them like push them on the same level, that they're looking eye to eye with the Thunder and the Spurs. I just don't see it, but we'll see what happens when the season starts, and if they are to make some other moves throughout the season to help get them to that level.
Yeah, I mean, to speak on that trade in particular, that was the first true shoe to drop as far as like off-season trades. And I know when in our previous episode we talked about the whole like CBA and the apron situation, and I mentioned like I think that's gonna lead to things that in the future will improve. I guess it's gonna improve the league because this is what the NBA wants. They want movement. They don't really care about loyalty of the player to the team or the team to the player. They just want to see movement, because one thing I would say that the league is aching for right now, they haven't had in a while, is true rivalry matchups. We haven't seen it because players are not moving as much, and also players are too, I feel like they're way too buddy buddy because they see each other so often in different aspects, but they don't. There's no villain arc. Like I remember. I think that was one. I guess we could say with LeBron going to Miami years ago was probably the best thing that happened for the league. just because they needed someone to choose as the villain, or even when Kobe resurged with the Lakers, getting Pa and like the Chris Paul trade not going through and all those things, it created the demon out of Kobe. He became somewhat of a villain to the West because in order for you to get by, you got to get past him. But then when those like villain arcs, like even with Shaq going to Miami and all those things, when those things started to end, you have to deal with like the Tim Duncans, who's like not really a villain, and then the Steph Curry, and he's not really a villain, he'll make you sick after getting a game winner. He wasn't a villain, dog. Like you didn't have any. There's no rivalries in the league, so a lot of these moves are creating a lot of like we already see Minnesota and OKC kind of like building something there. Denver and Minnesota, like Minnesota versus everybody, pretty much is must see TV. And I think to add to what you were saying, I agree. LaMelo and Ant being on the same team maybe is questionable in a sense because of their demeanor, their youthful demeanor, which is expected. But I think putting Melo in a position where he's in a winning situation, I mean, I wouldn't say Charles Lee's a bad coach. He's a pretty good young coach, but a better coaching situation and just a sense of urgency of knowing, like, listen, you just got moved. And it's not only because they wanted you and to improve their team, but also you didn't fit the Charlotte Hornets, who you were supposed to be their franchise. So now that you've moved, maybe this is a wake-up call to like be a better player. And I think they're okay with him being freelance, because when Bones Highland was starting at point guard, they were winning games and he was exciting. He was doing, he was doing a lot. Like he was sticking it to a lot of these teams that, counted him out. And they also re-signed him. So I think that's kind of what they want. They want to be a run and gun team. They want to run a lot. Shoot those threes. You know what I'm saying? Ant's going to completely take over. I wouldn't be surprised if he's scoring 30 plus points per game next season and threatening to be an MVP, just because now the main focus is going to be on him, even with LaMelo there and, McDaniels and so on, and even Ayo. So they're going to be a fun team. They're going to be electric. They're going to be scoring a lot of points, and they're still a very good defensive team. So, but also you mentioned the Giannis trade. Yeah, I mean, I think Miami has a track record of like, acquiring superstar players or star players that have the potential to be superstars. And them being competitive is also good for the Eastern Conference because they always find a way to be a thorn to the side to some type of team like the Celtics, the Knicks, the Philadelphia 76ers. They always been a thorn to the side of some of these power franchises by making it to the playoffs and making it far into the playoffs. So I think that's a great move for the league, great move for the Eastern Conference. But it's funny, like the Giannis trade should have happened, like you mentioned. Like I think it was signed off. It was
last
already.
year.
You think last year he should have been traded?
Yeah. They would have got a bit of a turn with the Bucks that they pulled the trigger last year. I think at least.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, I mean that I think everybody got traded too late. Julius Randle, Jaylen Brown, him, you name it. A lot of these guys could have been traded much sooner. But believe it or not, the Celtics more than likely should have had Giannis, but the rumors are like the owner was not okay with the 3 years. He would rather the 2 years on the extension. Then we had you know, some noise from the Milwaukee Bucks owner saying he didn't really uh, want to get Brown in return because he was not sure of, whether or not he would stay in an extension. And then the more prominent rumor is that the Celtics weren't willing to give up Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez, which is the craziest thing ever. I would never, ever.
Yeah.
Those are not generational talents. Like, this is the same thing that Golden State's doing with, like, their youthful movement over there. Like, they are not willing to give up those guys for whatever reason. And you have players in their prime or end of their prime who you need to give pieces to extend their career. But yeah, I would say the most surprising trade was obviously, to me, um, that JB trade, for multitude of reasons, even though it was
Well, yeah.
expected.
You being a Celtics fan, how do you feel about that? Because I haven't really talked to many Celtics fans. I see the frustration online,
hmm
and rightfully so, I think. But what was your thoughts about it when you saw? Did you catch it live, like when it happened? Like,
But yeah. Well, I was at work, and when I'm at work, it's pretty busy, so I don't have a chance to be on my phone often. So I would have been caught off guard, or somebody would have told me by walking by. But I was just as I was like peeking at my phone and going on Twitter, there was a sham bomb right there. Literally, I ain't lying to you, bro. Like, I literally opened X, and the first tweet within a minute was sham bomb. He sham bombed that shit, and I was like, wow. And then just the return was just wow to me. Like, I think it's like, I expected him to be traded at some point in his career, or better yet, like, in most instances where you have duos like him and Tatum, somebody leaves in free agency at the end of their career, or just leaves in free agency in general, or just requests a trade. Neither one of those things happened, for one. And two, I think the biggest surprise for a lot of people is that, for one, you dangled that carrot out for Giannis. Didn't work. And then all the rumors go out there about why it didn't work. Boom. A lot of Celtics fans are green teamers for the most part, and their expectation was, oh, this is just rumors. Who's your source? They're just chatting, whatever. Me, I'm sitting there like, no, you can't repair this. Like you've been dangling that carrot for a few years now. And then on top of that, he just had he had a career year, sixth in the MVP voting, second All NBA. He should have been in all defensive team, one of those. Um, and I wouldn't call it a gap year, because they still performed up to expectation. Like, they made it to the second seed in the East, with him leading the way. You know what I'm saying? Which people didn't expect that, right? But then, why are you choosing him to be the reason why you need to improve the team? The team wasn't fit. They didn't fail in that series against the Sixers because of him. There was other pieces. There's a coach that's coaching a certain way. There's a philosophy the franchise has that is not working. But yet you chose him to be your scapegoat to get rid of. As he said last night, they packed them up. So, for me, I'm not emotionally invested with players. I've seen a lot of Boston trades happen, including Mookie Betts. You know what I'm saying? Nomar Garcia Parra. A lot of people remember that. That happened before they won their championship. We've seen trades that can break your heart. But when you know better about how the business of sports is, you're not going to get all in your feels. But I think this is a little different for a lot of people, because he was an integral part of what was happening in the Boston community, right? He spoke on Black Wall Street for Boston. I don't know how far he got with that project, but he was very involved with the city, very involved with the community, very involved with the Celtics. And he's an intelligent kid. Like, you can't take away somebody. You can't. He's not uncomfortable about being intelligent, and I think more people need to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people want you to dumb yourself down for their sake, right? And if it was just that he was challenging the analytics, so be it. I mean, I think him challenging the analytics worked in his favor, and it worked in the team's favor. You know what I'm saying? Because we're seeing all these reports that I kind of was piecing up. I was piecing these all up all as it was. I already could tell what was going down. If you're hearing things about, oh, he's a disease with his intelligence, he thinks he's the smartest man in the room, that means somebody was not appreciative of him, coming in with his own, um, you know, mindset or his own, like how he would prefer to do things. They didn't want to contribute. They didn't want him to contribute to the game plan or contribute to what they wanted to do with the philosophy. So whether it was the Celtics or other teams just watching it from outside looking in, I don't know what it is. Like somebody out there is trying to break him down as someone who's not easy to deal with. And it's like, okay, clearly this is what the league likes. They like guys who just carry themselves like about the program. They just need to be about the program and that's it. So for me, it's like, I'm disappointed only because the return was underwhelming. For one, two, you sent him to Philly, who knocked you out the playoffs. So now that's a double whammy. You feel me? So it's like, what did you do? What was the purpose? Yeah, you're gonna still win maybe 50 games next season with Tatum, and maybe Paul George still being on the roster, but that ain't nothing. Like we already can see. Sometimes the regular season could be complete fool's gold. You could be as good as you think you are, and then just get knocked out in the first or second round. Simple as that. A third seed in the East won the championship this year. So that's all people need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy seeing JB get traded, but the more I look into it, I really think that, and more I learn about the trade, I really think that the main reason why he got traded is due to financial reasons. Because I think he wanted an extension. He makes a lot of money. Him and Tatum are very similar to the money they make. And this new CBA with the second apron, if they pay Brown what he wanted to get, and eventually maybe Tatum's gonna want extension too down the line. And Brown was justified for wanting it, especially after what he did this past season, finishing sixth in MVP voting, second team All NBA, led his Celtics to 56 wins, second in the conference and everything. So justifiably, he earns it. He believed that he deserves the extension. So I felt like they had to make a choice between one or the other, and obviously they went with Tatum. So that's why Brown was the odd man out. But there probably are other factors as well about him, like being hard to deal with, whatever. And the fact that, maybe he rubs people the wrong way, going on streams and everything and just saying what he says so blatantly, or rather being so transparent, I would say. And it kind of rubs people the wrong way. So, but I do think that financially, that's the main reason why Jaylen Brown is no longer a Celtic. But hey, people are saying that they have enough pieces now to make a play for Trey Murphy, enough assets to make a play for him with the Pelicans. I don't know if that's realistic, but I'm hearing they can do that. If they're able to get Trey Murphy as a result of that JB trade, it's not bad. Paul George doesn't really make sense. Well, it does make sense only because he's not going to get an extension from the Boston Celtics like JB wanted one. So they can move on. They're probably going to flip him before his contract expires. He's still productive, but he's not JB, 6 years older, I think, or 5 years older. So I don't know how much you can rely on him throughout the course of an 82-game season. I mean, yeah, you could say outplayed Jaylen Brown in the playoffs in that first round, but he did miss 25 games due to that suspension he had. So I think that helped preserve his energy for the playoffs. I don't know if you can really rely on PG at this stage of his career to rely on him night in, night out like Jaylen Brown over the course of an 82-game season. Just not realistic.
No, I get it, man. I mean, there is a light at the end of some type of tunnel for this trade. I mean, the picks could be something. I don't know how it's going to really pan out with like the new anti-tanking rules and the draft lottery changes that they've made recently. I don't know if that's going to be a benefit as much as people make it seem like. Obviously, if you're green teaming, you're going to look at this like a positive, like, yes, this was a distraction, gives other guys opportunities, maybe Trey Murphy, the third, like this, that, and the third. It's cool and all. Those are cool and all. Those ideas are all cool and all. I think what it comes down to is just like, yeah, if it was financial, so be it. Maybe that's something you make clearer to him. Because I think based on what I heard from the stream last night, there was You know what I'm saying? There was some a slight incompetence of like communication. He was not really getting a clear cut idea of what was going on, and for him, he kind of he saw this coming. So if somebody had the intuition that this is probably going to be my career was going to be ending with this team at some point, because he said whether the season went well or not, he's probably going to get traded regardless, and that's where he's looking at it. And then you can't be mad at him for trying to be equal to Tatum. Like he's shown that he's been pretty successful, and then here comes these analytics showing win losses without him and with all this that crap don't matter, man. Like those guys still won a championship with each other. They should have been built around they should have built around them enough to keep people. And the whole second apron thing is a cute conversation to have, but teams know how to maneuver. You understand? If Brad knew better, and which he did, he knew there was going to be a sale pending. He knew about the second apron stuff. He still gave Drew Holiday, Derek White, Hauser. He gave them all pay raises. And then on top of that, he knew he was giving those super maxes to Tatum and Brown. So those are self-inflicted wounds. So you led yourself into this. So you can't be mad you can't just suddenly look at it like, you know what, maybe we should just move the guy because it cost us too much. You decided to sign him. You agreed to the extension was, you didn't even need to extend him. You could have just let it ride out with the previous contract. And if you couldn't, if things didn't work out, you just trade him. And he would have got his money regardless somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But if as a player, that's a no-brainer. I'm taking that extension. You telling me you're going to give me 60 M's? Sure. You know what I'm saying? You can't just give somebody an opportunity to get paid, and then you're going to be like, okay, you know what? This probably wasn't a good idea. He brings people to the seats just as much as Tatum does. Do not get that twisted whatsoever. So I think for me, it's just about, this is just a tall tale sign, the tall tale narrative that has gone on for years and years, especially in Boston, when it comes to players and these franchises' loyalty to these players. Mookie Betts was like the first shoe to drop for me. That's when I really, really was like sitting back thinking about like, I don't know how I feel about Boston sports in general. Sometimes it's like Mookie Betts, like just across sports a little bit, I felt some type of way about that more only because first and foremost, we needed a black athlete like him in this city. He was a great player. He was an MVP, won a championship. He was homegrown. Like you don't get rid of these players just for the sake of, oh, I can't spend. They're too expensive. Screw that. Like you invest in this because these fans are investing in wanting to come to your building to watch these players. They're not here to watch the owner. They're here to watch the players. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I don't really like to get into all that whole money talk and all this. Like, oh, in 2 years, it's going to make a lot of sense. I don't give a damn. What makes sense today? What makes sense today? So, I mean, for me, I'm a little different than most Celtics fans, especially those who are like wearing the green sunglasses. They might be a little bit more bothered and also may seem somewhat more optimistic once the dust settles a little bit. But for me, it just reminds me that you can't get emotionally attached to players. But with that being said, I'm just going to pivot that to the Lakers moves that happened, and I want you to kind of talk about what you've seen and what you liked about that. Obviously, we know LeBron opted out. Now he's a free agent, and he's free to roam and figure out where he wants to go from there. I want to know for two things. Aside from the LeBron fans, what makes you happy about him not coming back, even though I feel like he's slightly been underappreciated, but it is what it is. That's everybody's opinion is different. And two, these moves that the Lakers have made, how you feel about those moves?
So I can talk about the moves first. Overall, I like the moves actually that they made. I know a lot of people are worrying about like the steep price that we paid to get Walker Kessler from Utah. But man, I mean, hey, Rob Pelinka. There was that video of Rob Pelinka coming out of the restaurant with Luka and JJ Redick with a big binder, and I heard that he told them, "Hey, this is the guy that we're looking to go after. 2026 is the year that we're going to start to tailor this roster around you." And he made that promise, so you have to get it done. And Walker Kessler, I think, is a perfect big to play around Luka, who can guard the rim, do a pretty good job, I think, guarding the pick and roll if he switched out on the perimeter, can roll to the basket on offense, shoot the three ball. Only like 24 years old. So I thought it was a good player. I know a lot of draft picks to be given up, and making a deal with Danny Ainge, who has a history of fleecing people. It's like, damn, they did it again. But it's just, hey, when there's a restricted free agent, you got to pay a steep price to get them away when they're restricted.
Right.
So I like that move. I do like having Colin Sexton and Quentin Grimes. I think they bring some toughness, some athleticism to the team and everything. That guy I'm not too familiar with. Last name Mamu. I can't say his full name.
Mamuseli
He's
or
pretty good from
something
what I've
crap
seen.
like that.
Yeah, he's a pretty good all around. Does a little bit of everything, like a little shooting, playing the post and everything, rebounding, all that. So they got good. I know a lot of people are worried too about all the white boys they have on the team now, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, damn, this team that's a lot of white boys. I saw somebody say that this is the most white the Lakers been since the Minneapolis days. I was crying. Like, that's true. The George Mikan days. This might be the whitest Lakers team
That's
since then.
hilarious.
So I do think that's mad funny. The Snow Time Lakers. I was crying when I seen that. That's funny.
That's no time Lakers.
But I think that they're in our position, and I think I've seen too that they may even try to make a move to like free up some cash space to get Jonathan Kuminga, who's out there as a free agent now.
Yeah, I seen
So
that too.
overall, I mean, I think this is probably the best offseason Pelinka's had with his tenure being a Lakers GM, and he did everything, a lot of that within the hour span. So I think it's pretty good. I think they're going to be a top 4 or 5 team in the league. It's not in the league, sorry. In the Western Conference, I think only definitively I would put San Antonio and OKC above them definitively. Not saying anybody else can't be above them, but I just look at San Antonio and OKC as being better than them. As long as Luka can stay relatively healthy, which is a big if. I know Walker Kessler had that shoulder injury last season, so yeah, I mean, yeah. So I like what they did. In terms of LeBron James, I just think it was tough to get LeBron James to come there, like command the money that he does at this age with the new CBA in place. He would have to take a pay cut of some sort. And now I see that he's willing to take a pay cut, play for the vet minimum. So I'm guessing he just didn't think that even if he did that for the Lakers, he doesn't think that would be a championship contending team. And plus, there is the whole he feels underappreciated with his tenure with the Lakers and everything, which I kind of like laugh at. I don't know if I'd go far as say he'd been underappreciated per se by the organization. Not talking about the fans, by the organization and everything. I mean, these are the guys who you forced to trade for Russell Westbrook when I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. Why would they even do something like that? And oh yeah, of course LeBron has something to do with that because no one else would make that move with any common sense. And I get it. LeBron James is like a basketball savant, so like, why would he think that would work? I know it wouldn't work, and he knows more basketball than I'll ever know. So that's what really rubbed me the wrong way because that set the Lakers back about 3 to 5 years, and we gave up a lot of assets to get Russ, and that was just that was a bad call. So yeah, but I get it. LeBron James, I know it's been a conflict for a lot of people. They feel conflicted with LeBron's tenure as a Laker, being this like kind of like viewed as Kobe's organization to a generation. Him coming there. So a lot of people were conflicted about that. Do we cheer for him? Do we not? But yeah, he did win a championship. He's been to a couple of conference finals appearances, finals MVP, broke the all-time record in a Lakers uniform, all-time leader in points and everything. So I think that he's had a successful tenure with the Lakers, especially in this era of parity when we haven't seen a champion repeat since the Golden State Warriors did back in 2018. So I would deem it as a success. I don't think that he deserves necessarily to get like a statue outside of LA. Jersey retired, sure. Statue, nah.
Well, if Jeannie Buss was still like running the show, I think she would. That would be her way to like apologize to him. It's like, I'm gonna get you a bronze statue, because they give it to all the legends there anyways. And he kind of like, his tenure there was longer than I expected. I didn't really know. I didn't expect him to be there for 8 seasons.
Yeah,
Was it 8 or
it's the
9
longest
seasons?
tenure he's ever. It's the longest. I think it was 8. Was it the longest tenure he's had with any team?
Yeah, like that on its own showed that he was committed to it, but something happened in between time, other than his command of things to happen through transactions, including his son, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony.
They drafted his son. They
You know what I'm
drafted his
saying?
son. They could have just signed him, pick him up
To a
off
two-way, yeah.
undrafted, but no, they signed his son.
Right. So
No, a fully guaranteed contract.
well, now they definitely gave him a fully guaranteed now. But like he that's what comes with the territory when you have, like, for example, Tom Brady went to Tampa and that's what he commanded. He was like, I want AB, I want Gronk, I want this, I want that, and also I want that money too. At 45 years old, give me that 25 million. I know I'm worth it. So Tampa had to be like, I have to. He's a legend. He brought a championship. I can't say no. But then what happened, and I'm sorry for crossing sports right now, but what happened was every offseason, you didn't even know what was the next move for Brady. Was he retiring? Was he not? Oh, he did retire. Oh, guess what? I'm back again, guys. So I think for the Lakers, the best thing that happened here was that they don't have to play this game no more with LeBron, even though has shown to be much loyal than I expected him to be with the Lakers. Him opting out just gave them flexibility for one, and two, you don't have to play this game no more. Let him do what he got to do. I don't care if he's chasing the ring at 42. He should. If you're still playing the league into your 40, you shouldn't be playing just to play. You should be playing to get championships or win something. He already got he already got his records. He ain't got much to prove anymore. He can play half a season at this point. He does not care. He's at the point of his career, he doesn't care. He just wants to be somewhere where he feels like he could win and just whatever role that they need him to. Because if he's willing to take the vet min, that means he's willing to take a role that's not expecting him to lead the way, even though his ego is going to want to score 20. So I get it. I understand why Laker fans feel the way. If you've been a Lakers fan for most of your life and you see him doing that dance, like, it gets annoying. And his fan base comes along with it, and it's hard. It's tough. It doesn't make it fun to root for your team when the attention's always on him. But we don't know a lot of the story over there. Maybe he does feel underappreciated because of something went differently than he expected. Even though he got a lot. They gave him the keys to the freaking, you know what I'm saying? They gave him the keys to the car, bro. So I don't know what actually went wrong. And they were probably more willing to give him the money that he was asking for too, on top of that. So I don't know. But from the outside looking in, I do get a little surprised when I see Lakers fans like really not liking him. But I don't know if it's because of his I don't know if it's because it's what's the word I'm looking for? If it's just like because of his fan base more than because of him, but I'm not too sure. You would be the best one to give me that answer. I wouldn't. I don't know.
I think his fan base plays a part into people not liking LA Lakers fans, not like fully embracing LeBron. The fan base can be obnoxious at times and everything, and just like just seems like a lot to deal with and everything. So that definitely plays a big part into it. But I think more so it's the Kobe, it's the love for Kobe that like kind of like